Ready for another uncomfortable truth where I said the quiet part out loud? If the government feeds you, it can starve you. If the government houses you, it can evict you. If the government pays your utilities, it can turn them off. If the government pays your cell phone, it can disconnect it. If the government provides your transportation, it can decide where you go and when you can travel. If the government takes care of your health, it can decide when it's spent enough money on you. If the government educates your children, it can choose what they learn. If the government raises your children, it can shape what they believe. If the government controls your information, it can control your truth. And when a government controls all of those things, it doesn't have to take your freedom. You'll hand it over piece by piece in exchange for comfort. You'll think you're being cared for when reality is you're being kept, okay? Every single thing comes at a price because the moment you depend on them for everything, you depend on them for permission to live.
Hey, welcome to Courageous Media. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. I hope you're having a fantastic Friday. We've got a great show for you today, but it's sad. It's a sad show because we have socialism taking hold in New York. The grand experiment has begun once again. Of course, this has been tried for the last 120 years over and over and over and over again. And everywhere that is tried, socialism always fails. And it always ends in two things: tyranny and death. The 20th century accounts for more than 100 million bodies due to socialism. But we are here. Now we're going to try it again. We're going to try it in New York City because we have a bunch of indoctrinated, foolish young people and ridiculous Democrats who want essentially to destroy the country, who have voted in Zoran Mandami, avowed communist, avowed Islamist. We are going to see what happens in New York. It's not going to end well. So please, if you're in the comments, let us know you're here. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. Smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let us know you're here in the comments. But this woman, let me know what you think. She's absolutely right. Once the government feeds you, it can take that food away. Ask everybody who is on SNAP benefits right now who is not getting their check or their little EBT card transfer. Ask everybody who depended on the government to feed their families. Now that the government is shut down and they don't have that money, how are they going to feed them? That's the question. And they are realizing right now that once somebody else provides something to you, they can take it away. Even in terms of a job, when you are dependent on somebody else for a job, that job can go away. You can get fired. Now, in a free market economy, if you've got the skills, you can go get a different job. However, when you are dependent for anything, it can be taken away, and that's something you have to realize. And this is something that this woman is trying to drill into the hearts of young people, that everything you hand over to the government is something that the government can take away or the government can attach strings to. Realize that in communist Russia, in the Soviet Union, you could get a job as long as you were part of the Communist Party. So, okay, well, go join the Communist Party. All right, no problem. Well, in order to join the Communist Party, there are things you had to do, like renounce all religion. And there are a lot of people unwilling to do that. Well, in a government-controlled world where they control your food, your shelter, your health care, they can make you do anything, like take an experimental jab that's never been proven before. They can make you become part of their little science projects over and over again. The Bible says that who you present yourselves slaves to obey, you are that one's slave to obey, whether of sin leading to death or of righteousness leading to life. But when you hand over that power to somebody else, in this case, the government, you become that one's slave. These people are slaves to the government. Whether they call it that or not, that's exactly what they are, because as soon as the government can take that stuff away, it no longer belongs to you, and you become the slave of the person who provides it. Now, they don't want to stop just there. Realize that it's not just about New York City. It's not about free buses, and it's not about, free subways, and it's not about, some government-controlled grocery stores where they're going to have, lower prices but no selection. And you realize where all this is going to go economically. That's not where they want to stop. They want this all over the United States. Why? Because they want an entire country of slaves. They've been trying this now for decades in regards to healthcare. They're halfway there with the utter disgrace that is Obamacare. But realize where this all started. This all started with Hillary Clinton and her quest for single payer healthcare in Clinton's first term. And that went resoundingly bad. It was so bad. She was run out of town on a rail. It went so bad that I believe they allowed all of the Clinton scandals to come to light in order to deflect from her basically getting ratioed out of existence. But now that Obamacare is here and it is an utter failure, they're trying to go again back to single payer healthcare. Check this out.
Today, Pramila, Debbie, and I are introducing Medicare for All single payer legislation. Our legislation would provide comprehensive care to all Americans, rich, poor, young, or old, with zero out-of-pocket expense. It would provide full freedom of choice regarding health care providers. You go to the doctor, the nurse that you want to. No more insurance premiums, no more deductibles, no more co-payments, no more filling out endless forms. No more fighting with the insurance companies to get what you paid for. And comprehensive means comprehensive. It means covering dental care, vision, hearing aids, prescription drugs, and home health care. And you know what else this legislation does? It says to millions of workers in this country, you don't have to stay at a job you don't want to be at just because you have health care at that job.
But it doesn't work. It's never worked. All these flowery words, all these empty promises have never, ever worked. Why? Because you can't, in this case, make one element of society a slave to another, not in a free society. Realize that if the government suddenly pays for all healthcare, then the government controls everything. You will no longer have doctors that want to be doctors. Why? Because if you go spend 12 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars to become a doctor, and then the government tells you, oh, no, you can't charge $150 for that visit or $500 for that visit or whatever. We're going to mandate that you charge $25 for that visit. And you realize and you look and you go, wait a minute, I spent 35 minutes with that patient. That means I made less than $50 an hour. No one is going to sign up for 12 years of school, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, all of the risk, all of the malpractice insurance so that you can get paid $25, $50, $75, $100 an hour. It's not going to happen. You are going to end up with doctor shortages. You are going to end up with rationed care. You are going to end up, once again, spending other people's money for something you don't control, which means that price is going to skyrocket. The government will bear the cost, but the quality will absolutely go down the tubes because you won't have any providers who want to do it. This is a failure from the get-go, but they don't care. They don't care that it's a failure because they want it to fail. They've been trying to crash the healthcare system for a long time so they could get to single payer, so they could get back to what the First Lady talked about. Once you hand over your healthcare to them, whether it's voluntary, like some of them want to do, or whether it's forced because you have no choice, they own you. They can make you do whatever they want if you want to live. That's where they want to get to. This was talked about ad nauseum. That's why you have death panels in the UK. That's why Canada is pushing euthanasia over and over and over again, because they don't want to take care of elderly people that are high cost claimants, and they don't have the money and they don't have the providers to do it. This is what they want. They, meaning the Democrats, the globalist cabal of corruptocrats, want socialism everywhere. They don't just want it in New York City, they want it everywhere. They want it via the healthcare system. They want to have everybody dependent on the federal government. And what does that lead us to? Well, it leads us to an unsustainable system. Now, we've got the useful idiots who are all for it. Check this out from this woman. I believe she's on the campus of NYU in New York. And, the old adage, you can't fix stupid. You can't fix indoctrinated either. Well, you can. You can fix indoctrinated because you can unindoctrinate people. You can teach them facts. But if they are so dumb that they can't hear the facts, I don't know what you're going to do. But this person has clearly been indoctrinated by our liberal communist school system, our government paid education, which is no longer education. Once the government controls it, as that woman said, it is now indoctrination, which is what they have done to this woman. Check it out.
To pay for it?
How are we going to pay for it with tax money, with tax dollars?
Okay, where the tax dollars come from?
Tax dollars are coming from all of the billionaires and wealthy people.
Well, they already pay, the top 1% already pays 50% of all taxes. Yeah.
Can you
IRS data reflects that the top 1% already pays 50% of all taxes. But I ask you, so if you tax the rich to oblivion,
Yes.
What happens when the rich leave the city? Who's to tax then?
They won't leave the city.
Why not? They've already done it in California.
Because in New York State, we have Wall Street. They're not leaving. And so what
You
if
think they can't leave? Then who are you going to tax when they leave?
We're just going to continue taxing people. But your
Oh, the middle class, right?
Yes, actually, the middle class.
Oh, okay, so you explained it. So we're going to tax the shit out of the middle class when the rich people leave after you tax the shit out of them.
I think we should tax the shit out of everybody. Yes, I think the middle class should be taxed 50% like it does in Sweden.
Oh my gosh, the absolute delusion and cognitive disassociation of these people, the complete lunacy. Okay, so we're going to tax the billionaires. Oh, well, the billionaires are going to leave. The millionaires and billionaires who are upwardly mobile, who can take their money and they can walk away, they will walk away from New York. They will leave. Just like those with means left every other communist socialist experiment the world over. They get out, they go away. And her idea that they're not going to leave, you can't move Wall Street. Wall Street's already moved, honey. For those of you who don't realize that there are more financial service jobs in Texas than there are in New York. Why? Because Wall Street is computerized now. You don't need the actual physical New York Stock Exchange. It's more of a show than anything. Everything is computerized. All your trades are handled by brokerages that are computerized the world over. You don't need the actual stock exchange with people running around with paper tickets. Most of your financial services firms, Schwab, Chase, all of them have relocated to Texas already. They're already leaving New York. And so when they leave, when the mega corporations and the billionaires leave, then the millionaires leave, and then she says, well, tax the middle class. Okay, fine, you're going to tax the middle class. And those of the middle class that can leave, that have some sort of mobile job, are out. The only people who will be left in New York are those who cannot leave. The low income, the poor, the lower middle class, the school teachers, the fire department workers, the people who are tied to that city. And what are you going to do? Tax them into oblivion? There aren't enough of them and they don't make enough money. It will ultimately fail. It'll crash in on itself, but they don't care because the goal is not free stuff. The goal is and always has been control. That's why they keep trying to shove down people's throat a system that ultimately fails because it's all about control. Winsome Sears understood this. She was on with Laura Trump, I believe. So check this out because she understands it. She came from a formerly socialist communist society. Check it out.
Does it worry you that you have someone who could potentially become the mayor of New York City, who is a democratic socialist, having seen what you saw as a child?
I left that so-called Democrat socialism in Jamaica. It doesn't work because after a while, we had no money. We had no jobs created. I saw economic policies where you went to the grocery store and you were limited in how many of a thing you could buy. But that's amazing to me that we are now playing with someone in New York who has self-declared that he's a socialist and everything's going to be free. Free groceries, free rent, free. And then what? And who pays for this? So this is crazy. I don't even have words to describe. You cannot do socialism right.
You cannot because it's a failed system. It doesn't work. Somebody always has to pay. There is nothing free. We have taught an entire 3 generations of kids in our idiotic government-run schools, our indoctrination camps, that none of the truths of the world. Somebody has to pay. If you provide something for nothing, it may be free to the person who gets it, but somebody always pays. And if the government pays, that means the taxpayers are paying. Somebody always pays. And typically when the government pays, and hence taxpayers are paying, it becomes more expensive because it is the government spending somebody else's money for some product that they're not going to use or want. So the price goes up, the quality goes down. It's utterly indefensible. She's 100% correct. When somebody has to pay, somebody always has to pay, which means you cannot just give away free stuff. Eventually, socialism crumbles because you run out of money to confiscate, to pay for all your free stuff. The billionaires leave, the millionaires leave, the corporations leave, then incentive leaves, because why would you start a business? You can't run it, you can't own it, you can't make the government comes in and controls it, so there's no incentive. So the jobs disappear. Eventually, you end up with every single job is a government job. Every single job is a party loyalty apparatchik. Every single thing becomes nothing more than a political game. That's what you had in the Soviet Union. That's why it utterly failed. And eventually this will fail. The question is, will we be able to limit the damage to New York and do it fast enough where people realize this is a failure so that we can cut out this cancer before it metastasizes to the rest of the body? Well, what the libs want, what the Democrats want, is they want it to metastasize to the rest of the body. They want this everywhere. They want government control of everything. They're going to start with the most important things: food, healthcare, other things. Check out this gentleman because he absolutely gets it. Absolutely great stuff here. While we do this, please smash that like button for me, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. We got to see if we can save our country because we got other problems now. Check this out.
You can get a plumber to your house in the middle of the night within an hour. But if you go to the ER, you could wait 6 hours. Why? The federal government never tried to make plumbing affordable and accessible. You can buy an 85-inch television for $1,000, but a dialysis machine costs $30,000. Why? The federal government never tried to make televisions affordable and accessible. You can get LASIK surgery done for $1,500 because it's not covered by Medicare or Medicaid, because it's elective. But if you get a major surgery, it could cost you $100,000. Why? The federal government never tried to make LASIK affordable and accessible. Socialism is killing every industry it touches.
Exactly. They don't care about making things affordable and accessible. They care about control. Anybody who knows history knows that anytime you introduce socialism / communism, all industry dries up. It becomes a government-run institution. And that government-run institution is brutally expensive, utterly inefficient, drives no quality. You will have grocery stores with one type of everything, and they'll even have short shelves. They won't have enough meat. They won't have enough dairy. They won't be able to produce enough to feed themselves, no matter how much farmland you have. The Soviet Union was proof of that. They had Ukraine under their umbrella as the Soviet Union, the breadbasket of Europe, and the Soviet Union couldn't feed itself. They can't do it. Socialism never works, but they don't care about making things, accessible and affordable. They care about using that as a lie, as a euphemism to get in and get control. Because once the government controls all that stuff, you are their slave. The first video that we played at the very beginning, anything you give away to the government, if they feed you, they can starve you. If they are your health care, they can withhold it and kill you. All of the above. Every time you give that away, you give away a piece of your freedom. And if we don't stop it, now, if we don't help an entire 3 generations of young people realize that socialism fails every time it's tried and it always ends in tyranny and death, then we could be facing the same nonsense here in this country. So we need the Republicans to stop infighting over nonsense and start doing battle against the leftist globalist Democrats who are trying once again to destroy our country. Hey, I really appreciate everybody rolling up.